Hey guys, it's the Unsmooth Criminal, and I just want to remind you that this is probably coming out on Sunday, the April 25th. So it's probably coming out then, and I'm doing a Q&A if you guys want to join and yeah, I know I saw you on Discord. You interrupt me recording. I'm doing a Q&A at noon to 3 Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want to join and talk to me, yeah, I may do another Q&A later that day for another 3 hours, so the foreign, not United States people can talk, like the Germans. I know I have a French person that watches that's on the Discord, so I may do another one later tomorrow, but I'm only planning right now for the noon one. So let's get into the story. This is part 2 of What If Deku, Femme Deku had Sun and Moonshine. So I'm going to change Sun and Moonshine just a tiny bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. So it doesn't create electricity, it creates heat. And the heat allows her to pick up uh, Rita. And Rita is not just a sacred treasure for Escanor. Rita is the sacred treasure for her. And Rita is a solar storm axe, not just a solar axe. So Rita still has the same look, but when the sun goes down, it shrinks and loses weight. Don't ask me how that works, because I don't know. And I know I'm the one who made that concept, but I don't know. So just think of it as advanced technology. So Rita, whenever she goes into the night form, basically splits into two axes that are half the weight of the original for both of them, and she can carry them in one hand. That actually makes sense. But when it's sun, it magnetically pulls the other one in, and it connects back together and makes a giant axe again. Don't ask me how the blade works. I don't know. So we go to the day of the Quirk evaluation, and this is the day before school starts for UA, because she's already gotten past the um, um, entrance exams. She's met May at the school while the entrance exams are going on, so she talked to May again. I think I had her talk to May. If I didn't have her talk to May, she talked to May at one point. And they started hitting it off more and more, and the little one, and most of you guys have said, or I've seen 3 girls and 2 boys. 2 of the girls I saw didn't have a name. One of them just said, I don't know. And the 2 boys had a name like Izuku or some, I don't know. So I'm going to say that she's a girl and she needs a name. So that's your chore for this video. You guys need to give me a name, and you guys can even suggest it to me while I'm doing the Q&A. I'm going to be live streaming the Q&A, so when this video goes up and you guys see this, I'm going to be live streaming the Q&A so I can answer questions in the chat if you guys want. So they go to the Quirk doctor, and she went to the Quirk doctor with her little one, and Aizawa says that he's here to get 2 Quirks evaluated, and the man is the same doctor as Canon, and he's like, okay, who are they? And she sees him and goes, "Yeah, no, we aren't using him." And as I was like, "But he's the Quirk doctor." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. I don't like him. No, we're not using him. He's not touching my child." And he goes, "Okay, I understand. Um, sorry, but we shall take our leave. Have a good day." And they walk out. And he goes, "Why did you not want to get your quirk evaluated?" And she's like, "I want to get my quirk evaluated, but not by him. I have this weird feeling in my gut. Not by him. No, no, no." And it's currently getting dark because they can only go at dusk or dawn. And she feels her body start to get lighter and faster. She's like, "Oh, crap. Well, you guys want a free ride home?" And he goes, "No, I got a car to take." She goes, "Okay." So she picks up her child and says, "You want to see how fast I can go?" And her child, she starts to giggle and goes, "Yeah, let's go." And she runs back to Aizawa's house and she runs into her room and slips on something and she accidentally dropped her child. And her child went right through the window into a tree, leaving a hole in the tree. And her child was laughing and giggling at that, being like, "That was fun. Again, again." And she was freaking out at that point, and her speed quadrupled. And she was looking over her child so fast, and once she calmed down, her speed dropped drastically. And her child's like, "Mom, I'm fine. Can we do that again?" And she's like, "No, we cannot do that again." And her child goes, "Oh, that was fun though." And she sees the sad face, and her hair starts to go white, and her daughter's hair is pretty much almost completely white during the day. So her hair starts to go like this, and her daughter's hair, hold on, is normally that shade on a good day, or on the daytime. And it starts to turn that shade of black. And she sees this and goes, "Sweetie, can you do something for me?" And she goes, "Sure, Mom, what is it?" And she says, "Can you stand right there for me?" And she goes, "Sure." And she's just looking around, wondering what her mom's going to do. And her mom goes and grabs a dart gun. Not a powerful dart gun, just enough to break the skin of a normal human to put them to sleep, because they've used it multiple times on her because she's freaked out when her little child has gotten a cut once or twice. And she started having a panic attack because she's not used to worrying about other people. So she overcompensated by over worrying. And she said, "This is only going to hurt for a second if this does hurt." And she goes, "Okay, Mom." And so she walks up to her and she shoots the dart into her arm, and it doesn't penetrate the skin. And she goes up to her and she grabs her on the wrist and tries to squeeze. And it feels like she's trying to squeeze titanium. And she's like, "Okay. So, hmm. So we have a strength quirk for me during the day. We have a speed quirk for me during the night. And she has a hardening quirk during the night. And so she's trying to put it together of what her ability to do during the day is, and to see if Merlin needs to make a weapon for her or a item so she can wear it. And they go, okay, let's go to sleep. And she picks up her daughter and she jumps through the window that she accidentally threw her daughter through and puts her on the bed, saying, stay here for a second, I'll go get Grandpa. And so she runs and gets Aizawa and says, so apparently my daughter has a hardening quirk at night. And he goes, okay. I forget what the child's ability during the day is. You guys can remind me in the comments. But we're going to stop focusing on the child. So it's now the first day of UA. Back to the first day of UA. And she walks into the classroom and she's trying her hardest not to worry about her daughter. Because Merlin's taking care of her, and Merlin is tasked to pick up the phone every 30 minutes and call or text a status, so she can get used to not being near her daughter but knowing how her daughter is. And ever since she found out her daughter's quirk was hardening at night, she hasn't had time to test what her daughter's quirk during the day is. You guys remind me what it is for the third part, because her daughter's going to come in at the third part. And so everybody sees this woman walking in, and she has good assets, and Minna is like, who is that? I can't do a lisp. I'm sorry. He says, who is that? And Bakugo sees her and goes, damn wolf. And she sees Bakugo and goes, yeah. And you look like an angry Pomeranian. Now go chew on a shoe and leave me alone. And she walks to the back and sits at the back and she starts cleaning Rita. She pulled it off her back, set it on the table, pulled off the blunting device that she puts on the front so it doesn't kill, and starts cleaning her. And she's just cleaning her slowly so nothing gets cut. She doesn't lose a finger, because Rita can chop through anything. And while she's cleaning Rita, Kirishima looks closely at her and sees that her muscles on her arm are getting more defined the longer she's cleaning Rita. And so he walks up to her and asks, what's your quirk? And she says, I'm only willing to say the name of it and say that the downside is that if I don't have Rita on me, you're all melting. It's sunshine and moonshine. That is it. I'm not saying any more. And Kirishima was like, okay. So he goes back to his seat and he heard sunshine. He's like, so is it to do with sunlight? And he just watches the sun and it's slowly creeping up to noon. And Aizawa's teaching at this point. And he's just watching the sun and watching her, and she's slowly getting strong. He sees that she's slowly getting stronger and stronger. Aizawa says, test time. And he's like, what? And he goes, yeah, orientation's supposed to be right around now, noonish. And he said noonish, and she's like, oh, crap. And she raised her hand, and he goes, yes, problem child. And she goes, can I use the restroom? And he goes, and this is in his head, and he goes, oh crap, it's noonish. And he goes, yes, go, shoo. You can be gone for 20-ish minutes. And she goes, thank you. And So all of a sudden they hear a boom from outside, and they look where the boom came from, and it's cracks along the ground. And he goes, "Wow, she's strong." And he didn't know he said this out loud, and they all look at him and go, "Who's strong?" And he pales at this and goes, "She's gonna kill me after, but ugh." And he looks at the class and he says, "The name of her quirk is Sunshine and Moonshine. While the sun is up and out, she gets stronger. Once it hits noon, even her, apparently, sacred treasure can't keep the heat in, so she starts melting things around her, no matter what it is." And they look at Izan and go, "What?" And he goes, "So every time around noon, she literally blasts off into space, and somehow gets back without being harmed." And they go, um, uh, huh? And he goes, "Well, let's go to the testing area, and she'll be back to take the test." All the way on the other side of Japan, this hero's running around being like, "Where's all this steam coming from?" And he finally gets to a lake, because this is in the middle of the forest. He gets to a lake, and he sees a girl just sitting in the middle of the lake. Oh, sorry. What used to be a lake. And he walks up to her, and she goes, "Come closer to me and you die." And he goes, "Is that a threat?" And she goes, "No. My quirk is just that out of control at noon." And he goes, "Okay." So he starts backing up, and he feels the heat slowly going down. And he's like, "So she's the one who caused this." And so after it hits 12:01:01, so 12 o'clock, 1 past 12, 1 second past 1 past 12. There you go. And the heat around her starts to dim down, and Rita starts to absorb the heat again, and she can go back to UA. So she blasts off again. And the guy is like, "Oh my god, what is her quirk?" And the water starts to congeal and slowly cool down. He's like, "Oh crap, I gotta use my quirk." So he uses his water quirk to congeal it all above the lake area, and he, once it all congeals together, it just drops. It completely and utterly obliterates the ground, and it's now all murky. The fish are dead. Well, what little fish were actually in there were dead, and so on. So we get back to UA, and everybody has finished their tests, and he's like, "She'll be back in 3, 2, 1." Boom! They hear this in the atmosphere, and they look up, and they see this person rocketing towards them, and they're like, "What the hell?" And Aizawa goes, "Brace for impact." In 5, 4, and all of a sudden they hear what sounds like jet engines from a space shuttle going off, and they're like, "What the hell is that noise?" So they cover their ears. Momo starts making headphones for noise canceling, and she starts handing them out, and all of a sudden, once she hands Bakugo one, he puts it on. All of a sudden, a giant rocketing boom lands near them, and the ground is cracking at the force of it. And she goes, I should have really landed in the pool, shouldn't I have?" And he goes, "No, what you should have done is landed at the USJ and then ran here." She goes, "But running's so boring and it takes so long. If I jump here, I'm faster." And he goes, Yeah, but you also break the ground. And he points at the ground underneath her. She goes, I know. So she puts Rita back in the sheath on her back, and he goes, okay, please do not break the space shuttle that should be above us right about now. And she goes, if it's above us, how can I break it by throwing it forward? And he goes, you know what I mean. And she goes, I know. It's just funny asking you stupid questions. And he goes, oh my god. Forgot why I adopted you. And she goes, because I'm me. And she gives a toothy smile and he goes, damn wolf. And she goes, yeah, that would be me. And so she picks up the ball from Aizawa and walks to the circle. She cocks her hand back and he goes, no, don't you dare. And she's like, fine. So she doesn't cock her hand back. She does what the pitchers in softball do and puts her hand down. And right after he saw her do that, she started swinging. And he's like, oh, crap. And he gets in his sleeping bag right when she starts swinging. And she releases the ball. And 300 sonic booms later, she can finally hear again. And all the other people are finally getting up from the pressure and the implosion from the missing pressure, from the implosion of the water and the pressure around it. So she asks, what's next? And he says, pull-ups. So she does pull-ups and she goes, I can do this till dusk. And he goes, I know, so infinite. And he finally looks at the thing and it just says error. And this is not going to blow up on him like normally what I do if they get past the Milky Way and it's hitting another galaxy, probably hitting another Izumi in the head, another AU in the head with a ball. And so they look at the thing and it just says error. And so he goes, it lost signal once it left the solar system. And she goes, so you did make it properly. And he goes, we never expect it to go past the solar system in one day. And she goes, it's probably going to hit someone in 3, 2, 1. Let's get back to the story. And he goes, what are you counting down? And she goes, oh, I probably cleared the entire universe. Maybe it might have hit another universe. Another version of me in a different universe in the head. And he goes, okay. So she does the rest of the tests and shows that during the day she can do infinite, and at dawn and dusk when she's normal she can only do like 30 or 40 because she's human. She can only do one pull-up. She can do 35 crunchies or sit-ups, whatever you want to call them. She can do 30 perfect push-ups. She has a 3-second run, the 3-second 100-meter run. I think no, 3-second 15-meter dash. I think that's what they had. And Aizawa goes, okay, everybody, come back at midnight. And he yawns. I'm up there now. Oh. Sorry for the yawn. But I'm demonstrating what Aizawa did. And they go, why? And he goes, so we can test everybody's speed. And everybody's like, we tested everybody's speed. And they look at Izumi. She goes, And she's just whistling in the background, being like, who's the fastest runner here? And Ito raises his hand and says, that would be me. And she looks at him and goes, nah. Um, who is the fastest runner here? And he raises his other hand and says, that would be me. And you cannot deny it because I'm the. If you look over there, and he points at the speed board, and he says, that is the board with the highest speed, and I'm at the top. And she looks and goes, that's slow. And Nita goes, what? And oh, I have another one. Oh, the next one's gonna be freaking creepy. Yeah, it's gonna be a little weird, the next one. But so she says, oh yeah, come back at midnight and I'll be doing this. You'll only see two of me though. And he goes, what do you mean I'll see two of you? And she goes, exactly that. You'll see one at the start and one at the end. I do my reps that way. And he says, where are you going to be doing this? And she goes, oh, I'm going to be doing on that track. And she points at the 1 kilometer long track. And he goes, no, you're not that fast to leave after images on the ends of the track only. And she goes, if I can run across the ocean in 3 minutes at my top speed, I think I'm that fast. And he's like, bullcrap. No one can. And Aizawa looks at her and goes, you just told them what moonshine did. And I kind of had to tell them what sunshine did. Well, the side effect of sunshine. And she goes, well, they saw the benefits with the ball throw and the pull-ups and the push-ups and all that. Because I kind of am the strongest being in the world when it's midday. I'm the one strongest person. And at night, I am kind of the one's fastest. And that's at my jog. I run across the ocean in 3 minutes. That's at my jog. And Ida goes, bull crap. And she goes, heh. You should see my favorite dance move. And he goes, the hell is your favorite dance move? And she goes, the Thriller. And it's starting to get darker, and she starts doing the Thriller at super speeds, and they're like, the hell is she? And it's just getting later and later, and the lights turn on, and all of a sudden, they see only after images. And it's multiple of her just doing the Thriller back and forth. And they're like, oh my god, she's a one-man dance crew. And she starts break dancing in the middle of it, and she gets up and goes, yeah, well, I was in Florida. And they're like, wait, you were in Florida? And she goes, yeah, I kind of originally lived in Florida. Then I was abducted and brought here. When I lived in Florida, I was a dance student. And she explains what she did as a hobby as her job. Or her talent, and what she normally did as her hobby as her main thing. When she can't say anything about the table and the Continental. Otherwise, they will be after her, and they know that they can't kill her. And she says at the end of this that while she's dancing, she normally is dancing in her speed form, and they're like, how do you get the speed form during the day? And she goes, the one benefit of my axe Rita is my quirk allowed me to imbue the abilities of my quirk into my axe. And so she finally grabs the handle with her small hands. Yes, she got small hands. with both hands, and it splits apart. And she says, "Meet Artemis and Apollo." And she's holding Artemis in her right hand and Apollo in her left. And she says, "Artemis, the goddess of the moon, and Apollo, the god of the sun." And they go, so what's the difference? And she goes, "Apollo, shine." And she says this, and all of a sudden the bright light is being produced by Apollo, and her muscles grow back, and she goes, and she's in the one form for like 3 seconds, and everybody feels this heat irradiating off her. And Apollo stops shining, and she drops it and goes, "Oh crap, I forgot how tiring that is. Oh crap. Uh, uh." And like, "What the hell is that heat?" And they're like almost dying of heat stroke. And she goes, "That was the one form. Oh god." And she flops on her butt, being like, "Oh god, I'm tired." And she lays back and she goes, "And if I have enough time during the day, and this has been outside long enough at night, I can use Artemis and Apollo during the day. And I can call upon Artemis during the day to gain its speed. Oh god, I'm passing out now." And she flops out and passes out. I'm lightheaded from acting winded. Oh god. Oh my god. So we skip 10-ish days, and Izumi is not allowed to go on any school trips except for the USJ in a month, and she's forbidden from watching any monitors during any school activities or teaching lessons. She must listen to the teaching lessons and must have no external light source except LED light bulbs inside the room. And she's isolated from most people except her daughter and some of her classmates. And the only time that she can really come out is when it's not from 10 to 2. And all these students are getting used to this, and they almost forget that she's in their class. And so it's time for the USJ, because it's a month after, and ooh, oh god. That's gonna be a very weird episode. But it's almost the USJ, and she looks at the bus and goes, "Is that rated for my weight class?" And Aizawa goes, "Maybe." So he walks on the bus and asks, "What's the weight limit on here?" And the bus driver goes, "This is the extra reinforced bus. It's supposed to be able to carry 30 tons." And he goes, "Yeah, it's rated for your weight class." And she runs in saying, "Yay!" And she currently has Rita in Apollo and Artemis mode, and she has them on her sides because she prefers them in that mode. So she left it out at one night and let it just absorb the moonlight. And so it's finally time for Izumi to take her daughter on a trip. So she asked Aizawa and Nezu for the permission to take her daughter with them to the USJ. And everybody asks, why is there a child in the bus? And this child is giving off a weird aura. It's the sunshine part of her quirk. But it's not sunshine because Jessica has sunshine. And she goes, "Because my daughter here," and everybody hears "my daughter here," and they're going, oh crap. Don't mess with her. Got it. And she goes, my daughter here has a quirk like mine, but instead of speed at night, she has hardening. And Kirishima goes, okay. Um, Weird. And just goes, no, that isn't, because I basically have hardening with my muscles density. And he goes, what? And she goes, yeah, punch me right now. Punch me square in the chest. And she stands up and he goes, sure. And he takes his fist, he hardens it completely and punches her as hard as possible. Nothing. And she's like, okay, now flatten your hand and harden it then so it has a sharp edge. And he goes, sure. And she goes, now try to slash my arm. And he tries to slash her arm. And he gets as far as Gerald. I think his name is Gerald. Yeah, I think his name is Gerald. He's one of the 10 Commandments. He gets as far as one of the 10 Commandments in that percentage of her arm. So it it shows up, but just very barely. And they had a special person come in, and he walks on the bus and says, hello, my name is John Wick. And she goes, oh, hey, John. And he goes, oh, hey, Jessica. And they look at John and Jessica and look at John and Jessica. They're like, how do you know each other? And he goes, I was her neighbor at one point. And she goes, yeah, until someone attacked him. And how did that go? I forgot you had military training at one point. He goes, yeah, I beat the crap out of him. And he just leaves it at that and walks to the back of the bus and sits next to the little child and says, who is this little cutie? And Jessica says, this is my daughter, and blank is her name. You guys need to tell me her name, because I'm not good at naming. I could just go ask my parents. Nah, I'm going to wait for you guys. And he goes, okay, makes sense. And Jessica sees a glint from underneath his jacket and goes, working again? And he goes, yeah, I'm working again. She goes, damn it. And she looks at her daughter and says her name, and her daughter turns around and says, yes. And she goes, when mommy walks into the USJ, you stay outside in the bus, okay? And she goes, okay, mommy. And she just sits on the bus, and everybody's like, why isn't she coming in? And she texts Aizawa that the secret organization that she told him about, but that she said that she couldn't reveal anything else about, is attacking us at the USJ. And that John is here on mission from one of the people who are trying to fight the secret organization. And he is here to make sure we don't get captured. Or, sorry, let me rephrase that. So I don't get captured by them. And Aizawa is getting a little confused, but just sends back, okay. And he says, everybody stay on the bus until I come back out and say it's safe. And so Jessica, John, Aizawa all walk in and greet 13. And Jessica walks over to the door and says, looks at her watch and says, I got 3 minutes before they'll run. So she just grabs the door and slams it shut and bends the metal a little and says, Aizawa, whatever happens here, you cannot tell anybody about. And he goes, okay. She goes, oh crap, my work is catching up with me. And she walks over to what she considers is the center of the USJ. And she says, "Okay, you dumb jerks." And she's not cussing because she swore to her child that she would stop cussing. And she says that if you don't show yourself, I'm going to personally rip you limb from limb. And you won't get a quick death. And Aizawa hearing this is like, what? And he was about to comment, and she goes, "I said, shut up and don't bother me." And John goes, "I suggest you don't mess with her." And Aizawa walks over to John and goes, um, "Who is she to you?" And he goes, uh, "She's the one who holds the markers." And John, knowing the significance of this, and Aizawa not knowing the significance of this, and he asks, "What markers?" And John explains what a marker is and goes into the detail that it's literally a token of favors and that he has hers. And he pulls out this basically amulet. And it shows the image of a sun, and on the back it shows the image of the moon. And he opens it up and it shows 3 fingerprints in blood. And he goes, "She's used this marker twice. And the second time was when I saved her. And that was that was my favor to her. And now I can call in a favor from her, and that's what I did. I'll be back." And I swear, but this is the last time I had John Wick. I'm sorry, but this is the last time. So, by the time that Aizawa recognizes what John Wick means, John Wick has already pricked his finger and pressed it against the other side of the mark and closed it. And he says, "Give this to Jessica when she's done." And Aizawa walks to the door and just not Aizawa, John Wick walks to the door and just sits down. And he pulls out a sleeping bag. And then he covers himself with it. And he hears, and this is from John Wick's point of view, by the way, he hears screaming, he hears, "I pity you, apologize for being born in my world," and "Who decided that?" from Jessica. And she's a completely different person when she's behind her sacred gear, her sacred treasure. And Aizawa sees this and is like, "Oh crap." And Jessica goes, "Aizawa, go to the water, stay under for 30 seconds. And Wick hears this and hops in his sleeping bag and goes, "No need." And he throws 2 sleeping bags, one to 13 and one to Aizawa. And he says, "Aizawa, get in that if you want to live." And at this point, John Wick has zipped up the zipping bag, zipped up the zipping bag. My God, I'm an idiot. Zipped up the sleeping bag and flopped on the floor with the zipper to the floor. And 13 is like, okay. So she zips up the sleeping bag and flops to the floor with the zipper to the floor. Aizawa does the same, completely zipping it up. And it says on one of the instruction pieces that is in the sleeping bag, and there's a little light that's on, it says, "For bouncers, Quirk only." And he reads this over and over, and then he reads the bottom part, which is in English, because he can read slight English, and it says, "Execution time from the judge used when favor is called." And he read that, and he's like, "The hell?" And he looks at the light, and the lights on the light, it says a time. And it goes 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40. And underneath it says, cleanup is done in. Or no, above it says, cleanup is done in. And it's like, cleanup? What? And they just hear something burning, and they're like, what the hell is going on out there? And he tries to look or unzip it, and it's locked. It's literally like it's been welded there. And he keeps trying and trying, and a message shows up on screen in Japanese saying, locked for your own safety. Unlocks in 30, 29, 28, 27. And he's like, what? And then all of a sudden he hears the fire stop. And he hears someone flop to the ground next to him, and he yells, Jessica, is that you? And she goes, yeah. You should have 15 seconds left right about now. And he goes, and it says, and he looks up and it says 10. And he goes, 9, 8. And she goes, oh, that took a little longer than normal. I'm probably out of practice. And he hears this, goes, what do you mean you're out of practice? And she goes, you'll see when you get out of there, and it might be a little hot out here. And so 13 finally opens the zipper, and she's the first one out. She gets out, and she's in a spacesuit, basically, and she has a temperature regulator on it so she can stay cool in a warm environment and warm in a cool environment. So she doesn't feel the temperature, but Aizawa, once he opens the zipper slightly, and it swings open after that. He opens it slightly, and a giant heat wave comes through, and it completely opens, and it shrinks into a little baggie, and it's like, oh, what? And Jessica walks over to Aizawa and says, I'm guessing you have it? And she holds out her hand, and he goes, have what? And she goes, my mark. I'm guessing John gave it to you. And he goes, yeah. And he looks at the door where John was, and John is gone. If anybody has seen John Wick 3, he pulled the same move on the ninja that he did here. He disappeared. And he goes, yeah. So he rummages through his pockets, and he finds it, and he hands it over. And she goes, thank you. And she puts it around her neck and stuffs it in her shirt. And she goes, and that is the only oh, yeah, I could call upon his favor. The only favor of that I'm stuck and inclined to use is John's. But, And she's thinking, and she walks over to the door, and it's past 12:01, and it's a few minutes past 12:01, and the area around her starts to cool down, and she opens the door by basically bending it and opening the door manually, and says, okay, everybody come in, it may be a little hot in here. And Aizawa looks down to where all the dead bodies were and where Rita was. And Rita's gone. She doesn't have Rita on her. And he's like, Jessica, where's Rita? And she goes, oh yeah, and she pulls out her marker, and it shows a little handle on it. And she says, Rita. The true form of Rita is this pendant. And she puts it back in her shirt and goes, but that is also the worst part about Rita. Is I can only put it in and take it out when it's the heat of noon. And he goes, oh, okay, so you can't take Rita out until tomorrow noon. She goes, yeah. But in this form, it absorbs all my heat, no matter what time it is. And it actually helps me control it. And he goes, so you can wear it at all times and you have no heat? And she goes, yeah. I use this as my marker because it's just kind of convenient, and I didn't have any other metal around me, and it was supposed to be a valuable item. That's valuable to me. And her hero costume is what you see here. Or no. Hold on. Her hero costume, it just doesn't have the hat on. So take the image in. Take it all in. And it's currently stuffed in between her cleavage. By the way, the amulet is stuffed in her cleavage. Yeah. And she doesn't have the gas mask, and she doesn't have the hat on. And her amulet is now in between her cleavage. So you can see a chain around her neck. It's not a small chain like a dog tag. It's what looks like a leash chain. And May, who is on this trip to get valuable intel so she can fix people's gear if it needs to be fixed, sees this and asks, "What's around your neck?" And she goes, "Oh, nothing. Nothing." Everybody looks at her and goes, "Where's Rita?" And May goes, "Who?" And not Izumi, damn it. Jessica pulls out the amulet and says, "Oh, Rita." And then just puts it back, and Mineta sees it, starts perving out, and Izumi, he releases Rita just a tiny bit, and a little bit of heat goes over to Mineta, and he starts sweating profusely. And he goes, "Ugh, so hot." And he faints from a heat stroke, and the heat finally dissipates around him. And she goes, "So let's get on with it." And she looks out and sees that the ground is perfectly flat like it originally was, and the water level in the shipwreck area is a little low. By a little, I mean it's 90% gone. And they look over at the shipwreck area and goes, "What the hell happened to all the water?" And Izumi looks over and goes, "Shite." And Jessica's daughter was right next to her, and she goes, "Mommy, what does shite mean?" And just goes, "You're not supposed to say that word. It's a bad word. Mommy didn't mean to say that." And she goes, "Oh, okay. I'll go ask Grandpa." And she walks over to Aizawa, and she just goes like, "Oh God, this is gonna suck." And she's back to the friendly Jessica that everybody knows, the mask that she wears, so she can fit in and have a normal life. And Aizawa is like, "Yes, sweetie, what did you want?" And Jessica's daughter says, "Mommy said a word, and she's not telling me what it means. She said shite." And he goes, "It means poop. It's a very bad word for poop. Please don't say it anymore." And she goes, "Okay." And she just walks over and says, "Mommy, why did you just say poop?" And Jessica goes, "Sorry, I was used to saying that word, and I'm trying to stop saying really bad words." And Jessica's daughter goes, "Oh, okay." Because Jessica's daughter is really smart for being a 5, maybe 6 year old. I forget how old I made her. If she was 10, she's 5. No, she's 6. Because Jessica's 16 right this second. Yeah, she's 16. So she's 6. She's really smart for being a 6 year old. And Jessica is cursing her luck for saying that word. And so May walks back to Jessica and says, "That chain really suits you." And she starts flirting with Jessica, and Aizawa and Mina see this and start thinking, ship, 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 ship. And Mina accidentally says ship out loud. And everybody goes, who and who? And Mina goes, oh crap. And Jessica, having the hearing of a wolf, her ear twitches towards Mina and she goes, Mina, if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, stop. And she looks at Mina and gives her the slit eye a look, and Mina goes, sorry, ooh. And I'll do that one as my next what if. But Mina and Aizawa look at or Mina looks at Aizawa, asking if he can help, and he just looks at her and goes, you did good. You did good. So I'm going to end it here. I think it's a little early. I may not have gotten to an hour. Yeah, it's just a tiny bit early. But I'm planning to do a Brave Star what if. What if Deku was Brave Star? If anybody knows who Brave Star is, and you're old enough to know who Brave Star is, please put it in the comments. Because I'm 18 and I know who Brave Star is. If anybody that is younger than me knows who Brave Star is, tell me. I want to know. But if you just know who Brave Star is, join my Discord so we can talk about Brave Star tomorrow. Or today, whatever day it is for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Talk to you later.